And so I would just encourage some of you to be patient and trust that if you are really surrendered and you are trusting and you really want this to happen, it's going to happen in the right time and in the right season. And it may not make sense on your timeline, but it's always perfect when it comes to God's timeline. So that would be one thing that I would say to people. Now, for those who are procrastinating or things have happened and you haven't finished, I would encourage you to identify strategies. First of all, you need to look at your mindset. Pastor Draper said on one of my shows that sometimes you've got to make a new tape. Because, finishers make progress, not excuses.
That's good. That's tweetable.
You've got to make progress, not excuses. And again, so you want to be able to identify, so what's in the way, okay? So first of all, you've got to get honest. You've got to get honest. One of the things we use as the underpinning of this science of finishing is something called a disconnected values model. And so what this says is that there are benefits to pretty much everything. So if you're saying, as an example, I'm going to exercise and I was going to lose all these pounds and all that, well, you're not exercising. There's a benefit to that. Maybe it's the ice cream that you eat, or you're being able to sit on the couch a little bit longer. So getting honest with yourself about what's keeping you from moving forward. That's something that's really important. You've got to acknowledge that. And now you've got to make a new tape, because often what we're doing, we keep saying negative things. It's going to take me too long. I don't have the resources. I don't have the right people. The language that we speak, life and death, is in the power of the tongue. So you've got to see what you're rehearsing for yourself. And then you might have to make a new tape so that you can encourage yourself. And you've got one day, and there are some things that you can finish. And so commit to finishing, surrender, and know that here's the thing that I've also come to understand is that my love for God has to be greater than my love for myself.
That's good. That's a good point. So a couple of things I want to pick up from that, what you just stated. So when you say totally surrendered, what does that look like to you?
Totally surrendering is, for me, Luke 9:23, denying myself. And what that means is that I have to be willing to let go of my plans, my dreams, my goals. And when things don't go the way that I thought they should or I want them to, that I have to surrender to the process and trust that if God really is in control, then some of the things that are going on, that maybe he's even, he has to allow everything. He's allowing things to happen because nothing gets by him. So for me, it's about trusting the process and letting go, tuning in. So when things aren't going the way that I think, that's when I have to tune in to him even more. Okay, what should I do? Am I missing something? It means that I planned to have something finished today, and it didn't happen that way. And so I've got to let go of the emotions that I have that's connected to things. It's the letting go of here's one. People say, you write a book and it's going to be a bestseller. It's got to be a bestseller. It's got to be a bestseller.
Yeah.
And guess what? If the plan was to reach one person, which one is more important? That it reached that person or it becomes a bestseller?
That's
so
good.
Surrendering says I'm going to take my hands off of stuff to try to make things happen when maybe they're not supposed to happen.
That's good. And I wanted you to unpack that, just so that people will understand exactly what we're talking about. Because sometimes, people hear things, they're not really sure what you mean by that. But I love that explanation. Totally surrendering, just, accepting the process, embracing the process, knowing that when you're in relationship with God, he wants the best for you. We always quote Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans that I have for you, plans not to harm you, but plans to give you hope and an expected end. But do you really understand the plan that God has for you? And it's not to harm you. God wants the best for us. And so I love that. The next point I just wanted to kind of unpack was the mindset. And immediately I went to my own coaching training. The first day they tell you to write in your journal, I am a beginning coach, but I am a great coach. So it's
Mhm.
all about the story and reframing the story, telling yourself something different because we all have a story. But
Yes.
the point is, or the question today is, which story will you believe? Will you believe the story that's going to keep you bound and stuck, or will you rewrite and reframe the story so that you can move forward in what God has called you to do?
That's
So
right.
I appreciate that, the mindset. And then, you talked about some strategies. If you are a procrastinator, you have to be honest with yourself about that and know your strengths and weaknesses. What are they so that you can build on what you're working with?